crazy controlled. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're making RaceSpotTV part of your day. Thank you so very much. You're watching a special presentation on iRacing Live and Race TV. It's the American Dirt Series. It's the late models, round number 3 at Knoxville, brought to us, of course, by Dirt Co. Medium House and CMF Motors Electric. Hello, I am Cameron Walsh, and with the brand spanking new co-commentator, whatever you want to call, partner Ben Death Rage, and of course Hugo Louis, jouncing around in the production trailer here at Knoxville Raceway. Well, we've got super late models on the docket. Yes, normally we get to do this on Friday night. I get to do it one night early, taking over for Randy, at least for tonight. So hello, good evening. How's you doing? Anyways, Knoxville Raceway, Fairgrounds Oval as we're used to. And Ben, gonna bring you on here. I mean, hey, it's a good time anytime you get everybody together and have a good old dirt race. Gonna have plenty of heat racing action before we start getting to our mains. And it looks to me like we are on the docket for a full dirt night, just as you'd expect out in the life.
Indeed, Cam, and it's going to be an enjoyable night indeed, and really excited. This is my first ever broadcast of this sort, so that's going to be a challenge, but a fun challenge.
Absolutely. So, either way, let's start taking a look at exactly how the schedule is going to go. We've got in front of me, and this is going to be the fun part, a very large Google document of all of the different heats, the mains, the trophy dash, and it is hopefully going to run smoothly, and I'm sure Hugo is tentatively excited. We hope you're excited out there on the docket. I've watched a couple of these races a couple of weeks past, and they've always put on a good show. Driver lineup, I mean, is extraordinary, as expected. Austin Selman, Howard Weaver, Connor Parise, Todd LeBoy. I mean, you just Alex Bergeron's here. Zach Leonhardi. I mean, it's got a lot of good drivers, and well, when you put these guys in super late models, I can say, as we're looking at the point standings right now, up on your screens, which there you go, Zach Leonhardi. He is, of course, currently leading the championship standings with 190. Greg Thompson, Richard Stallings, Todd LeBoy, Lindsey Hobbs, Terry Reinhardt, Scott Bellum's there, Cody Olson's there, Kyle Falk, and Howard Weaver. And we should be ready to rock and roll. And we will hopefully get heat numero uno out on the racing track right now. And Ben, Knoxville, as qualifying is about to get underway. Knoxville, half mile, of course. It's your standard your standard fairground speedway, as you would call it. High walls, wide track, horse racing, at least at the start, before they became dirt racing tracks, and for some reason always managed to put on a great show.
Indeed, it's a big track that races like a small track, and what always fascinates me is Knoxville Raceway. It seems like a guy's checked out and he's going to take the checkers, and then all of a sudden on that last lap, somebody just blows his doors off like he's standing still.
Yeah, so right now, as the cars are getting underway, of course, here with the American Dirt Series, you will be, of course, running under the lights this whole time. Track usage is very low, starting at about maybe 20-25%. So that means that there's going to be plenty of track to go over. Cars going around the surface right now. Colin Wisely is the one we're looking at right now. And, well, we'll have to see as they're getting ready to rock and roll. Qualifying is divided into groups, and we're getting that group started right now. And as such, we will get these things underway. And Ben, just watching Colin Wisely here, just he's going to try to find your basic grip. I mean, it's straightforward. It's a straightforward track to drive as far as I'm concerned. The racing is what gets, that's why it puts on such a good show. But really, it's just trying to find that starting grip as soon as you can.
Exactly, and just getting comfortable with the race car. A lot of these guys spend some time, in some hot lap warm-up sessions, but this is really, the first chance at racing speed to where they really want to do some, peak performance, running absolutely as fast as they can.
Yeah, so, well, it's looking like some time's going to be starting to come in fairly soon, so we'll see what we can get there. Okay, so this is a cue to sort out the heats. All right, fantastic. There's going to be some bumps and bruises, just so we know. We're going to do our best. So that is all we can do. I will say, for Colin Wisely, he's actually right ahead of Howard Weaver, and as Howard Weaver comes into the picture, gotta maybe point out that Howard Weaver probably wants to get on by, and Ben, I can imagine he's already not happy about it. He wants to separate himself, but it's pretty troubling when you can catch the guy in front of you.
Correct, and in this sort of group qualifying structure, it's not a race per se. It's, you want your best time by yourself, and you don't want to race a guy side by side. You want to be by yourself and get as much clean air as possible.
Yeah, so for Howard, he's trying to point the car in the other direction, of course, as the qualifying for them is off and away. So, pretty straightforward, as you would expect, in just like you would see on a Friday night anywhere across the lovely world of United States dirt racing. Cars get sent out, small packs of groups. They put in some qualifying times. They get themselves sorted and starting to drive away. And Ben, at least for me, I've only gotten to do this one time here on the iRacing service. I like it because, you get a better package. We haven't done the thing yet where we got different, car classes and stuff like that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is as far as we have on the iRacing service, close as you're going to be able to get to your normal Friday night packages. The next group starts heading out, led by Richard Stallings. So, as Richard Stallings gets himself out, they will get themselves working here at Knoxville. You can already see a little bit of a hair of track surface already getting used in. And Ben, these things, it's about, about maybe 2,200 pounds a weight, and probably, like 750 horsepower, if I'm thinking off the top of my head?
Right about in that ballpark, and these are some heavy machines, but they can really create and generate some power.
Yeah, so with that, get ourselves nice and comfortable here as, getting ready for a treat. As some of the qualifying times that we saw from that last little session, Howard Weaver put in an 18.5, but he wasn't to be outdone by Greg Thompson with an 18.488. So, Richard Stallings is going to start throwing his super late model around, as well as Jonathan Coombs and John Hain and Connor Younganier. And if we pronounce anything incorrectly, blame Hugo, not me. So Richard Stallings get himself underway, and it's one of those things with dirt racing that's so very unique, is that you have to kind of go out onto the track, Ben, and you just have to be able to go. There's really no warm-up stage.
That's correct, and there's really zero room for error. And especially qualifying, it has big implications as far as where you start in your heat. Obviously, the heats are just as important. So this really starts your night off either in the right direction or in possibly behind the 8 ball and digging yourself a hole.
Yeah, and if you start hitting that outside wall, I mean, it's not like you're going to pull in and get yourself sorted out and fixed. So it can certainly not be an assisting thing, that's for sure. Lap times are coming in right now. You see them on your screen here as we're looking at John Hain as he runs around in his number 84 machine. As well, we go to back down to Jonathan Coombs in his number 69. As right now looks to me, I think Connor Youngyear is probably the fastest in this group right now. He's currently running in the 4th position as far as the lap times go, right behind DJ Kilinowski. So we'll see as Connor's sitting there. Qualifying time is going to be all done. Cars are going to be pulling in. So yeah, out of that group, Connor Youngyear and Ben, everybody seems to be fairly close to each other. 6/10 split the 8 cars that we have qualified already.
Yeah, it's, all pretty much within half a second of each other, which means these guys are pretty dialed in. As you see, Howard Weaver, just a mere fraction off of fast time Greg Thompson. And I wanted to point out, Cam Walsh, that Greg Thompson in hot laps, 18.452, so right around the same times.
Yeah, and it's close, but then they're going to get themselves into the heat, and that's when the racing's actually going to start. And that's I think I'm pretty excited about. I think it's fun to see these guys out here hot lapping, but it's also one of those things where most certainly I can't wait for the heats to start running here. Either way, second group coming out on the track right now. There's Zach Leonhardi. That's your overall points leader right now in the late models here in the American Dirt Series. As Leonhardi starts running his way around, we'll see if we can go on board for a couple of laps with Leonhardi, that number 24 machine. As he'll run the outside line as hard as he can and will actually park the rear fender into the outside wall a bit. Not what he wanted to do, but Ben, trying to get around this circuit, you are going on and off the throttle. For a half mile, it's really not like you're holding the whole corner wide. It's not like a sprint car. You really got to modulate that throttle to get around the circuit.
Correct, and it's a very interesting racetrack where the high side, it's actually, I've been told by drivers personally that the high side is easier to operate around versus the inside line. And noticing in practice, iRacing has did just an immaculate job with their design of this racetrack. There's a little bit of a lip, a little bit of a bump, but if you go too low, it'll completely break up any momentum that you've built up.
Yeah, in Knoxville, we call it a fairground circuit, and the reason why it's called a fairground circuit is because, well, it is surrounded by the fairgrounds. That's what it is here. It's right here in Knoxville, Iowa. Now, for me, and this is how it normally goes. These things started as typically horse racing tracks. Now, as it was, I actually just confirmed this right in front of my face hole. So the late 1800s is when this track actually got at least the foundations of it. As the lap times are coming in right now, Zach Leonhardi, no surprise, he's up to third with an 18.543. As we'll continue on to the next group here. This is Austin Selman, Connor Parise, Ton LeBeau, and Terry Rennert. So some very hot feet getting into the track right now. Typically, when you get these horse racing tracks, at least how I've experienced, for me, my biggest track was, of course, the Syracuse Moody Mile, is that inside line, Ben, always develops a massive bump because of how the water lines run or whatever. Just for whatever reason, the inside line always ends up developing massive ruts, at least from what I've seen, and perhaps that's why the outside is so favorable here.
Yeah, and you mentioned, horse racing tracks. I mean, racing for a lot of parts of the country really exploded, after World War II. And these tracks, basically, they're already made. And, eventually through time, we would see the development of smaller and smaller tracks. But, yeah, the big tracks with midgets and what we would call, kind of stock cars now, really got a boom at first on those massive tracks that were primarily used for horse racing.
Yeah, those national, they call them, I think, the National Series, if my old-fashioned, old-timey NASCAR is good. Cars are getting up to speed right now. Connor Parise and his 16 is running around. We'll see how he fits in. Todd LaBoye already has a lap time in. Looking right now, where might Austin Selman be? So this is obviously the first lap, so lap times aren't going to be outstanding, as obviously they get themselves up to speed. Lap time should be coming in. There's Connor Parise, 18.8. He jumps up, as there's Austin Selman as well. He's already up to 5th. Will he be able to get more? We'll have to find out. But for me, it was kind of an easy decision, I would presume, Ben. A bunch of people had some cars, and then they put their hands on their hips and went, you know what? This thing goes around in a circle. And, well, the horses aren't racing here. Why don't we take the cars out for a spin? And I'm pretty confident that that's how dirt racing probably got started.
Yeah, correct. And like I mentioned, that big boom after World War II, a lot of what that was is, even though the early stages of races, especially with midgets on these huge tracks, it was it was very common for people to go to race and see people die. And a lot of that was just because the bravery of these men that had just served in World War II. If they figured if they lived through the war, they could live through anything, sort of deal.
Yeah, absolutely, and thankfully we've pushed ourselves away from that. You especially saw that in open wheel formula racing all around the world as well. Austin Selman, he was able to improve his time, but not by much. He will go to 4th position. Everyone's still chasing Greg Thompson. I feel like Thompson's kind of taken away with everything. He came out first and put the lap times in. No one's been able to catch him, so maybe he just had the slick track. But either way, next group out on and away. That's Malachi Matthews, Josh Phillips, Scott Bellum, and Mike Cron. Cron? Yeah, that is Cron. I thought it was an M. Okay, no, that is Cron. So Malachi leads them all out right now. And Josh Phillips, I'd probably keep my eye on him for this group. Can't say I'm too familiar with the rest of the field, but Ben, one of those things. iRacing has plenty of different communities, and as such, you end up finding some hidden talent, really, as I like to call it, because you got some guys, maybe you just follow the official racing, so you're going to know who's fast there, you're Howard Weaver, Austin Selman, but then you get into these hosted sessions, and there's some real hidden gems out there.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see just all the wealth of talent, and you get to see, you look at the entry list and see where everyone's from. It's not just a certain pocket of area, and that's what's really cool about iRacing is a driver from California can race against a driver from Maine on any night of the week.
Yeah, and we gotta do the count right now. I gotta look at the Australian count. We only have one in attendance tonight. That's Lindsay Hobbs. So no further route tonight. Just one is here comes Josh Phillips. He's gonna start putting in his lap time right now. And so as they get themselves working up to speed past the starter stands, going into one, well off the throttle, pretty much as soon as you go past the starter stand as we're riding on board with Josh Phillips, right where his left wheel is working. So there he goes, up to 4th position. He's bumped the number 26 machine of Austin Selman. So good running you got there. Rest of the cars right now putting in their lap times. Malachi Matthews, he's worked himself up to the 11th position. But Josh Phillips, Ben, he's already put himself up to 4th. Not bad for coming out on this track, and you can already see that track getting worn in just enough, but still pretty good.
Yeah, and it almost, for a moment there, it looked like Greg Thompson might have had the best track and the best opportunity to put up a good lap, but clearly that's being tossed out the window. Josh Phillips is just almost there, just a little bit quicker, and he might be able to overtake Greg Thompson.
Yeah, he's not that far behind, and as they pull in their lap times, they're not in the cards. So for Josh Phillips, as he gets ready to pull into pit lane, the rest of the field coming through is Mike Cron actually caught Scott Bellum, so unfortunate for him that he had to sit there. Mike Cron, he ended up going back to good to 10th position. Malachi dropped down to 12th. We've got a couple more groups ready to rock and roll. Not that many to go, I would say. We've got 2 groups, as Brandon Pedersen, Dan Smolders, and Alex Bergeron pulls out. And Alex Bergeron, Ben, well, Alex is one of the hot feet, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Canadian can do. As, well, he'll pull his machine out onto the racing track, but Alex normally does well in sprint cars. He was doing extraordinary in sprint cars, and he's found himself getting ready in these late models, and that's not an easy transition.
Correct, yeah. You know, just as in real life, there's only so many people that can go from, you know, an open wheel sprint car sort of, or midget to late models. It can be done. You know, Tim McCready's done it, Donnie Schatz has done it, and Charlie Schwartz is another name you could throw out there. But yes, two completely different styles of racing, but if you're able to master them both, that is a very, very unique trait.
It is, and at least here on the iRacing service, I mean, we do have some drivers, Howard Weaver comes to mind, where he was racing the sprint cars and he just kind of threw his hands up in the air and said, you know what, I'm much happier in the late model. Where Bergeron has been able to really collect speed, and also shout out to the driver Tim McCready. He actually just won one of the Dirt Car National nights. I don't think he won the whole thing, but I know he won one of the nights. I think it was Thursday night or something like that in the Super Dirt Cars. So, but either way, local guy for me, anyways. So Bergeron, we'll see where his lap times go. And he's already up to third before getting a massive roll through the middle of the corner. I think that was that bump you were talking about, Ben, that kind of took him really out of it. So his lap time's not going to be good here, but overall jumped right to third.
Yeah, especially so late. You know, there's so many cars that took this racetrack. It's good to see that there's still some speed out there.
So the VLR driver of Mr. Alex Bergeron in that 25 starts working his way around one more time. I don't really know if he's going to be able to improve. Normally that first lap, for whatever reason, seems to really be kind of the point there. Look at the other drivers. Brandon Pedersen, he's up to 12th position. Dan Smolders is up to 13th. So good run in there. And I think we only got one more group, and I think that might be Eric Ho, Cody Olson, and Jason Minat, I believe. We'll see if they get their cars out here. I only see Eric Hughes though. So we'll see if Eric will give us a good old one-car show. But either way, after this, yes, he will. So Eric will get himself out and away. And, well, Mr. Ben Deathrage, I have to say, qualifying run fairly smoothly. And I'm at least happy to get to see it. You know, you don't normally get to see qualifying and get to talk about it. You don't get to. You normally have to just walk in and kind of immediately start doing the racing. But either way, it's a good setup to get us ready for a good night of racing here in the American Dirt Series.
Yeah, and you know, some heavy hitters in the top 5 in qualifying so far, assuming Eric Hugh doesn't crack into that. Greg Thompson won the opening leg at USA a couple weeks ago, and then the recent winner with the series at Eldor, Howard Weaver, finds himself second. And you know, Alex Bergeron, he's only made one race, it looks like, and that was a third in week 1. So very, very notable talent. Of course, Zach Leonardi, who's the current points leader, top 5 is incredible.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see these guys get these machines rolling. Of course, super late models, the absolute pinnacle of late models as far as speed go. I would almost contend that they're faster than super dirt cars, as much as I would begrudgingly admit that. But Eric Hugh getting his lap times in. We'll see whereabouts he lands. As not a great lap time to start, but as we know, plenty of laps to go. But either way, these late models, for whatever reason, they just seem to have really taken off in iRacing. Everyone really wanted to cut razor with the sprint cars, yet everyone seems to be getting really comfortable in these late models. I think you can kind of lean on on the other guys. You know, one slight mistake kind of ruins everything in a sprint car. But these late models are gaining in popularity, it seems, on a week-on-week basis.
Yeah, and that's really cool too. I mean, late models are extremely popular. When you look at the United States, pretty much everywhere, a lot of regions have some sort of late model presence, and it's so cool to see it represented on, you know, the iRacing platform.
Yeah, and I have to kind of admit, where we are in the Northeast, not a strong. Okay, Eric, he wants to put on a show. He wants to get done. He wants to throw it in the wall for us. He put an 18.965 in, so that is good enough for, I don't know, well down the road. But either way, it is a getting ready to get our heats underway. You're watching the American Dirt Series. It's a late models night here at Knoxville Raceway here on RaceSpotTV. Of course, brought to us by Dirt Co. Media House and CMF. So we're going to get ready to get the heats underway. And as we do that, just a quick little talk about maybe perhaps what these guys could expect for racing, Ben. You get little heat cars. You can get maybe probably anywhere from 4 to 10 cars in your heat. And you get to do probably 8 to 10 laps. They'll let us know, and so therefore I'll let you guys know. But just kind of looking at the overall race in these heat races, you just really want to focus on finishing in the top half, so you can work your way up the heat, up the A mains, B main, C main, etc. So you try to race conservative, but it's a bit hard to when you really just want to get out there and stretch the legs.
Exactly. You know, you just want to, the main goal right now is get in the show. Don't run any unnecessary extra laps by having to come through a consolation feature. You know, just get the job done at the first opportunity, i.e. the heat race. And, you know, you want to be extremely careful on your equipment and not wear yourself out, because nothing like having your night end early in a heat race going after one spot, especially a spot that you didn't need.
Yeah, and to me, that's having to go up consolation. That's a very, very difficult road. That's a lot of laps that you got to work yourself through. It can sometimes be good because you can see how the track state is, but I wouldn't. I would just rather just transfer. So either way, looks to me as Hugo passes the sheet over to me that the heats look ready to go, and so we're going to have a 10-lap heat number 1. As they're getting ready to, we will have the 4 heats here, as it looks to me like we're going to have 6 cars per heat. And of course, caution laps don't count. That's the one benefit of getting to do this in the private sessions. We get to actually run it like you would normally expect. So, heat 1, as it looks to me, will be Greg Thompson, Josh Phillips, Connor Youngnear, Dan Smolders, Richard Stallings, and Eric Hughes. So as soon as we can start getting the cars out on the track, that'll be good. But 6-car heats, which means probably, top 3? I would, if I had to guess, would probably take the transfer. But either way, 6-car heats, probably pretty straightforward. Nothing you really have to worry too much about, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. So those drivers starting 4th on back just move up a couple of spots. For those guys starting towards the front, they were fast in qualifying, and so continue that momentum over into this heat race.
Yeah, and sometimes you're ready to rock and roll. Your car's all hooked up. You find yourself getting out on the track. Maybe the setup was built a little bit. Well, it's everyone's running the same setup, so I guess I can't say that. But either way. You find yourself being less comfortable as the cars are rolling down pit lane. So no pacing truck we have here today, as unfortunate as they normally always throw. I remember normally somebody really ran a pickup truck, and it was very exciting for that driver. Anyways, so Greg Thompson, he's leading outside Josh Phillips. As we actually have it. Oh, we got the Heat 1 started. Wow, look at these. We got the whole Heat 1 graphic package ready to rock and roll. That's great. As it's Greg Thompson, Phillips, Connor, Smoldings, Stallings, and then Hughes. So we get these guys out and away. Probably do, I would presume, 2 pace laps, and Ben, we'll get ready to start some side-by-side racing.
Exactly, can't wait. It's going to be a little bit of an appetizer for the main event that'll be coming up, but nonetheless should be some fantastic racing.
Yeah, so we'll get these guys ready to rock and or roll, depending on your preference there. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get some door-to-door heat racing going here on the American Dirt Series, super late models. Get ready as they come by. Next time by, Greg Thompson is going to be leading him. You don't have to wait for a pace car to get off the road. because he's just going to be able to pull himself through and get ready to call the shot. Hopefully he'll get the whole shot. I'm sure that's what he's thinking. And so he'll get ready to drop the green here as he brings them through corners number 3 and 4. They're so very close. Josh Phillips hanging his outside. Phillips seen normally on Friday nights. Greg Thompson, he's there as well. The 313 ready to go. And there you go. The right side's kickoff, and we're green for heat number 1 here from Knoxville.
And a great job for Greg Thompson. Seizing the initial lead and motoring down the backstretch. It looks like Cam Walsh, he is going to lead the opening leg of this heat race.
Well, there you go. It's a good start from Thompson. He was able to get the throttle down. A little bit of action between Dan Smolders and Richard Stallings as Connor Younglier is able to hang the outside. Connor is, as Dan Smolders looks like he's trying to come up the outside. And Ben, looks to me like they're really trying, as Connor has his line taken away by Dan, really trying to kind of work that far outside line. I just don't think it's going to be in yet.
Exactly. This battle for third is sensational here, as you got 3 drivers all fighting for one spot, and it's basically finish in third, you move on to the feature, or you finish 4th on back. You're going to have to figure a way out of the B main.
Yeah, and here comes the car of Richard Stallings on the inside. He's gotten the line from Dan. Dan's going to have to take that far outside line. Nobody's really lean fenders on each other, but Greg Thompson has not checked out, mind you, as Josh Phillips is running himself now into the, trying to catch himself up. A little bit of a door jam I see in the back by Connor Youngnear. But either way, it looks to me, Ben, like everyone is at least running clean.
Yeah, correct. The top 2 guys, they were the fastest guys in this heat race lineup, and they're doing a fantastic job so far. They've really created a lot of separation, a lot of space, and right now it looks like that battle for third starting to die down a little bit. Richard Stallings, he's got third, but the drivers behind him are all right there.
Yeah, and this is going to be top two. Top 2 are going to be going to the transfers. So just getting that from on high from Cody Olson. So thank you to him. But so it's basically just a battle between Josh Phillips and Greg Thompson. And then you got probably, a 2-second gap between Phillips and Stallings. I would have to say maybe longer than that at this point. Maybe a 3.5, 4 seconds. So laps winding down. And that's good to see these guys out here and running. Everyone seems to pretty much be in a line, Ben.
Correct, yeah, about a straightaway gap between second and third. And for those 2 guys up front, Greg Thompson and Josh Phillips, just don't run into each other, don't damage anything, and just log some laps and finish it off.
Yeah, and so I think that's exactly what we're going to see here. I'm not sure if Phillips is going to really try, as the track, you can start seeing a little bit of that reflection coming off of that middle line where the rubber's getting laid down, the loose dirt is getting packed in and pushed away. As you can watch the rear suspension really working, and Phillips trying outside line, but he's I'm going to say he's probably not going to be able to catch anything. But as we work our way through, only I'm sure a couple of laps to go. It was a 10-lap heat, so that felt like, well, we should be getting to that point, probably 3 to go, I'd say. And here comes, on the inside, Dan Smolders over Richard Stallings.
Yeah, terrific side-by-side battle. Smolders is in the 99, Stallings in the 17. These drivers racing for third at this moment in time, while the 8 of Connor Youngner right behind both of them.
Yeah, and just like that, we have gotten our heat underway. Everybody's packing them up. I could have swore someone was going to hit somebody. By the way, Greg Thompson, he's going to take it in heat number 1. Josh Phillips, he'll come home in second. Those are your 2 transfers. And for Richard Stallings, Dan Smolders, Connor Youngnear, and Eric Hu, they are going to have to work their way on up. So we are going to interview Greg Thompson now as they've stopped themselves up here. So here we go. Greg Thompson taking the first heat just like that. And Greg, well, how's it feeling out there right now?
Feels pretty good. I'd say right now it's probably pretty hard to pass. I'm not sure how this track's going to turn out being tonight. I don't run here a whole lot, but I'm hoping I can keep it on the bottom all night. But we'll see. We'll see how the dash goes. Yeah,
and it's going to be one of those things where the track kind of wears in, really, especially a track like Knoxville with how wide it is. It wears in really where people are racing. So line kind of can change on a turn-by-turn basis, and in either way, as the next heat is getting ready to roll out, you had some early speed, you had the top for qualifying. You're the only one in the 0.4 bracket, so even if you might not be comfortable here, the car at least seems fast for now.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, and to qualify that good over some of these guys is pretty awesome. It feels pretty good.
Well, I'm sure this won't be our first conversation if you keep the lap times coming down like that. So, but I do like to always give the hand. Anyone like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to Anthony Miller at LWGFX for the wrap, and driving for HRE Motorsports now. So I want to give a shout out to those guys for taking me on the team, and appreciate that. So we'll see what we can do tonight for them.
All right, that's Greg Thompson. Thank you so very much for hopping in the booth with us. We'll let you get back to the pits as we get ready for heat number 2. And Ben, a good heat number 1, I have to say, but heat number 2 looks to me like we're going to be in for a bit of a show, as we've got Howard Weaver and Austin Semmelman starting 1-2. You got Cole Holfen, Hunter Poston, Todd LeBeau, and then Colin Wisely. But yeah, that heat 1 went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, clean racing overall, some great action from the front runners. Clearly, in my personal opinion, they're going to be tough to beat. Not unbeatable, but tough to beat. The rest of the field, I think they might have learned some things that they can take from the consolation main that can get them out of the B and into the feature, and maybe make some moves later in the night.
Yeah, and of course we do have the trophy dash as well. That's the top 2 finishers in each heat race. So everyone that transfers, they get to have a trophy race. Either way, heat number 2, gonna look to get underway this time by. You're watching the American Dirt Series here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live, Dirt Co. Media House, CMF Motors Electronics, Kings of Dirt, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Down Under Graphics, Silo Forestry, and B-Dirt 1934. So, Howard Weaver is getting ready to rock and roll. He gives him the old 2 Mississippi count before he gets underway. We are green for heat number 2 here in Knoxville.
And a great start for Howard Weaver. He was fast in hot laps, fast in time trials, and he is your race leader here in heat number 2 on this opening lap.
But he's definitely not alone. Austin Semmelman is right over his wing and right over his rear fender, and it's almost the same thing that we saw in heat number 1, where it's the first 2 cars basically running away from everyone else. Todd LeBeau, he's worked himself up fairly quickly. Cole Neuholfen, as somebody's going to tell me how to say that. It's going to make way more sense, I can tell you. Colin Wisely also involved in this little battle here. That 01 car of Colin, he's really trying that inside. He's got a little bit of he threw a little bit of a slide on the inside to in front of the car of Cole, but it looks to me like you basically got the same thing we saw in the first heat. Front 2 cars pulling away, rest of the field fighting it out.
And exactly what's happening here is your 3rd place driver is fighting hard with 4th on back, and it's allowing this gap to create, yet again, just like in heat 1, you're seeing about a straightaway advantage between 2nd and 3rd, and it's allowing those top 2 guys to cruise off in the sunset.
And so just as the laps are ticking away, of course, these are 10-lap heats. Top 2 cars transfer. They go to the trophy dash and they transfer. And so they work their way through. Todd LeBeau, though, he has managed to break away just a little bit. He's not that far behind, but his lap times just aren't there right now. Cole, oh my goodness, Neuholfen, that's what we'll go with, Neuholfen. Is running that inside line now, and he is trying to get that thing to work. And Ben, just as you were mentioning earlier, that inside line really seems to have a pretty aggressive bump right on the entry in pit lane.
Exactly. It can really get your car upset. It can pick up that left front and make you go in all sorts of directions you don't want to be headed. But yeah, Neuholfen and Wisely, they're making a little bit of contact, and look what happens here.
There you go.
Trouble on the backstretch.
Yeah, Hunter Poston there. He is the one. I don't even think Hunter was really involved in that. We'll get a replay here, I'm sure, on RaceSpotTV. But yeah, I just don't really think Hunter had much to do with this one.
Well, you know, he saw 2 cars kind of getting together, and you know, these cars, if you're unfamiliar with dirt track racing, there's no mirrors, there's no brake lights or anything. The only way you know if someone's slowing down is if they start to get really big in your viewport. and that's exactly what happened. He was trying to get by the 12 and the 01. Unfortunately, got clipped right at the end. It looked like he cleared them both.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not like you can just apply the brakes slightly and straighten the car out. You're in the middle of a slide with a 2,200-pound car. You're not going to be able to just throw it. Either way, they had to call down here Howard Weaver. He was doing his Forrest Gump impression. He just kept running. They all had to tell him, hey. So they're now running single file. Looks to me like we'll get a single file restart as Howard Weaver lines them all up. This is interesting because Todd LeBeau is hovering right behind. We'll see how they go. As of course the caution laps don't count, it'll be 3 to go when they take the green flag here. And, well, it'll be interesting now to see if perhaps Todd LeBeau can do anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this caution bunches everybody up, it gets a chance. It really emphasizes that this restart is very important for a guy like LeBeau. This very well could be his last shot at getting into the main event.
Yeah, and especially when you have to work your way up and fight so much, especially when you see incidents. They do start too wide, by the way, so good there. It'll be Howard Weaver, Austin Selman, then, and here we go. Howard Weaver gives him the stutter start once again, as that or everyone just tries to jump. Weaver starts, as LeBeau doesn't seem like he's going to be able to really take a pass on Selman, and that will give us right what we had before, as it looks to me like Hunter Preston's found himself in the outside wall again, but green once again here. We'll have 2 to go.
Yeah, and Selman a great job in his car, getting right on Weaver in the 07, keeping it close, not letting anybody get by him, and also putting a little bit of pressure on the leader, but not enough, I don't think, to make the pass. And here comes LeBeau starting to make a run for second.
I think Selman tried to do something on the outside. He had to disengage because Weaver wasn't going to move anywhere. This is the last lap, and he ended up having to slide back, but Selman was able to stretch legs, and he's able to now get behind. I think everyone's kind of settling themselves into it. There's a little bit of side-by-side with Cole Newhofen and Colin Wesley, but here comes Howard Weaver. He'll take the victory for heat numero 2. And Austin Selman will go on by. Tad LeBeau will be the first one out, as Colin Wesley, Cole Newhofen, and then Hunter Poston will be the finishing group there. But either way, as they stack them up on the outside line, they will look to have an interview with the driver of Howard Weaver, the 07 machine. We'll see if we can get him in here. Howard, you won Heat 2. How's it feeling out there?
It feels weird. The tracks, or the setup or something's kind of weird feeling, but good. Hopefully the track will widen up some here in a minute.
Yeah, it seems like people really trying that inside line, but there's a rut right on pit exit that seems to be kind of taking the line away from people. You thinking maybe as the heats go on, the track's really gonna open up here?
I hope so. Normally with this black on the bottom, normally the line would already be moving up, but it seemed like every time I tried to go up high, there wasn't anything there, so hopefully it'll eventually widen out, because this can be a really good track in these cars.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty good running. Austin Selman was basically all over your rear that whole time. It was you two breaking away. You're going to be doing the trophy dash and all that, and I'm not. I can't say I'm super familiar with it. This being the first time I'm doing this, but either way, you're getting. I'm sure you're going to be getting ready for that and everything.
Yeah, last week was my first week here. There's some kind of invert, and I can't remember how they determine it, but either way, last week I started last in the dash, so hopefully I can start better this week.
Well, hopefully, but either way, floor is yours. Heat number 2 victory is yours. Anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to? And if you keep this up, I'm sure this isn't going to be our first conversation. So, anyone you'd like to say hi to?
Yeah, Cam Walsh at RaceSpotTV, and Tennessee Punch Bunch, Team Friday, VLR, Gutty, he knows who that is.
Well, there you go, Howard. Thanks very much for hopping in, and we'll talk to you later.
Yep, I appreciate it.
So, heat number 2, packed in away. Alex Bergeron getting ready. He's going to lead us out for heat number 3. David Kilinowski which is a name I'm going to have way too much fun saying. Mike Cron, Malachi Matthews, Terry Renner, and then John Coombs. And Ben, get ready to get heat number 3 underway. Track's getting more worn in, as the time from these guys practicing to the time that these guys are out on the racing track are separated enough that you almost start getting cold.
Yeah, and you can really see a development of the black belt, especially on the inside and the corners. And track's racing a little bit narrow, but I figure by the time the B main is out there, it's going to really widen out, and we're going to see some guys utilizing the top side of the racetrack. I could be wrong. You know, this is the first time that I've ever seen it, you know, in iRacing on the iRacing platform. But you know, the heats have been good. They've been showing a lot of speed. We'll see what the rest of these heats can produce as far as passing is concerned.
Yeah, maybe we can get a heat where it's not just the front 2 pulling away from everybody and then the rest of the field taking a fight. As we do have a late joiner, Malachi Matthews will finally get that car working and underway, and he'll get himself out and about. And I think they're going to have to add on perhaps another pacing lap. No, they might be able to get themselves sorted out. Yeah, they do actually. So good job for the heat number 3 guys. As Alex Bergeron looks to lead us through, we'll see when about that Chevrolet super late model will take off. Here comes the number 25 off of corner number 4. He gives it the old 2 Mississippi count, and there we go. I would call it a 3 Mississippi count, and we are green here in heat number 3.
And a good start for Alex Bergeron, getting out to the front, able to check out from the field, and he's showing an intense amount of Jungle Cat quickness right now as DJ Kilinovsky hitting the backstretch wall there a little bit, while Mount Crown to maybe possibly put some pressure on for second here.
Yeah, and for Kilinowski, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep in touch with Alex Bergeron. Bergeron perhaps a little bit too hooked up, but that means at least we get a battle for a transfer position. Top 2 are the ones that transfer and go to the trophy dash. So Mike Cron is trying to cycle through there, and he also got a battle in the background of Terry Renner and Malachi Matthews.
Yeah, we got some battling all over the racetrack. Is Crown trying to make something happen, trying to thread the needle underneath Kilinovsky, and it looks like he might have the pass. We'll see if he can make it stick.
Through a pretty good hefty passenger-sized door there into the front nose cone of the number 15 of DJ Kilinowski, but they worked themselves through here. As Mike Cron, he's really trying to make that inside line work, Ben, and just as we've been saying, that inside line does seem to be coming into play more and more cars take into it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you got dyslexia, this one will be keeping you up all night. The 51 and the 15 going at it hard, drag racing around this track. It looks like, yeah, Kilinowski using a little bit of a higher line. He's able to get a little bit of momentum built up there on the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, and these guys, he's really trying to, he's not Eldora high, but he's certainly right up on the cushion as he's trying to get himself that fat right rear of the super late model some traction. But it looks to me like Mike Cron, even though he's running on perhaps what you would consider used dirt or worn in dirt, he really seems to be able to grip in, and there comes Kilinowski on the outside.
Yeah, what's happening here is also the O2 of Terry Renner starting to creep in the picture just a little bit. I mean, if these guys keep going side by side like this, we're going to have a 3-car battle for second before too long.
Yeah, and that would be exciting. As there goes a bit of a nip from Mike Cron. Got a little too much speed on corner exit. Kilinowski's car was there. That's the thing that's good about these late models. If that was sprint car, that would have been a very probably nasty wreck. As here comes Cron. He's trying to work himself up. I think he's going to have to concede and start working that outside line.
Well, yeah, he's going to have to muster something here because there ain't a lot of time left in this race. Only a couple laps to go. But he's going to have to hope that maybe Kilinowski's going to miss his mark and get an incredibly strong run underneath him.
Yeah, and if you're wondering if this is the battle for the lead, well, the reason why you'd be wondering that is because the lead car has gone out of picture. It's Alex Bergeron. And there he is, the number 25 DLR machine. But this battle here for second position, this is for that transfer position here. Probably got maybe, I would say, 3 laps to go. That would be my guess, if we had to guess. As Kilinowski's running that outside line now pretty consistently. Mike Cron has been running the inside line, and it's really kind of been an interesting battle. Kilinowski, he washes out. He finds himself up out of the cushion. So That means that actually we were wrong, and it wasn't 3 to go unless we are under yellow. No, that was that. So, Ben, we wanted that race to go a little longer. That's why.
Exactly, and just like I said before the start of that one, we can hope we see some passing. I mean, this is just whetting our appetite for some great racing that I think is going to keep on going as the night goes along.
And we do have Alex Bergeron, your Heat 3 winner, as we'll go through real quick. Alex Bergeron, DJ Kilinowski, Mike Cron, Terry Runnert, Malachi Matthews, and Jonathan Coombs. Alex, congratulations. You took heat number 3, and you really kind of came away with it. What's the track looking like out there?
It's very slick on the bottom, but, we'll try to top in the race. We'll see how it goes, but I think the bottom's going to be the place to be tonight.
Now, there seems to be a massive rut developing right on the exit of pit lane, right going into 1. Is that going to kind of affect your line? Is it going to be like a kind of track here? Is tonight going to develop where 1 and 2 is kind of hanging outside, 3 and 4 maybe hanging inside?
I don't know. I don't think. We don't know. I seriously don't know. But possibly turn 3 and 4 is going to be a big deal tonight.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, it's nice to be able to get out there and stretch the legs and run the laps, but didn't really get to run as far as in lap traffic might be. But either way, congratulations, a great job. We'll see you in the trophy dash in a bit of time. And the floor is going to be yours, Alex. Anyone you'd like to give a quick shout-out to? Sure, it probably won't be the last time we have talk tonight. And if not, we'll probably see you tomorrow either way. But I would like to give a shout-out to the VLR team.
Yeah, well, Team VLR, Drill Spill, Dirt Collective, Murr Inc., Dirt Car Racing. You guys for broadcasting, ADS for putting the league on. And to all my supporters, Tristo, and all the guys watching right now. So thank you guys for being here. And, we'll see you in the dash.
Well, we'll see you in the dash indeed. Alex Bergeron, driver of the number 25 machine, who was running a Chevrolet, which I'm presuming was one of those SS's, where it seems everyone else seems really excited to be running some kind of weird-looking Camaro ZR1-looking thing, and I think I see another... It's interesting because, Ben, everyone seems to be trying as we're looking at the starting grid right now as they're not ready. They're not gridded yet, so it gives us a little bit of low time. But it seems to me that everyone likes to put their own car manufacturers on the front of these late models, and that's always kind of a fun little bit you can do.
It kind of is. It's really neat to see, and I think it's a very cool thing as we get ready for this 4th and final heat race. We'll see if it can top the Heat 3, which was probably the most exciting one that we've seen so far, Cam, and we'll see how well it follows it.
Yeah, we had some good racing there between Kilinowski and Crown, so hopefully we'll get this thing sorted out and underway. As looking at the starting grid, it is going to be your points leader, Zach Leonardi. Connor Parise is going to be his outside. Brandon Pedersen, Lindsay Hobbs, John Hain, and then Scott Bellum as your final runners here in the heat. Cars are pulling out onto the racing circuit right now, so we'll have 2 laps start side by side. We'll have a 10-lap heat. 2 cars go to the trophy. Everyone else has to go and fight in the pits that are the lower mains to work their way up. But either way, you're watching the American Dirt Series here on RaceSpotTV and Racing Live. I'm Cam Walsh. That's Ben Death Rage and Hugo Louis, as always. So heat number 4, our final heat, getting ready to rock and roll. And it looks to me, Ben, that inside line should be the status quo for the day. But you gotta fight for that inside line. And we did see that outside line can counter.
Yeah, it looked like the middle of the racetrack, right about where the outside line on the starting grid is, starting to come in a little bit. It was a little bit treacherous, though. If you missed your mark or if you went a little bit too high, it was going to send you back a little bit.
Yeah, and we did see for Kilinowski, he did wash out and find himself in the dirt. They're all in the dirt. It's a dirt track, but you know what I mean. Either way, Zach Leonardi pulls us to heat number 4. We're green as he pulls it away. Good start for him, but Brandon Pedersen is on the inside of Connor Parise.
Yeah, it's a great battle between the 83 of Pedersen and the 16 of Parise as these 2 drivers motor their way around this half mile. Zach Leonardi is out in front and creating lots of space here on lap 1.
Well, he's taking a card out of what Alex Bergeron was able to do. Is perhaps we'll see a great battle for second position, that final transfer position. As Zach Leonardi, he's checking out right now. He's feeling the track. He seems to be going high, low, but it seems to me he's taking a pretty conservative run around the track, which is interesting. I think he's running conservative when he's running that far ahead, but for Connor Parise, he's trying to cover from Brandon Pedersen. John Hayne is there as well, so good 3-car battle potentially for the final transfer spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of separation here between 4th place and 5th. We really haven't seen that all night long, and so these top 4 guys may be battling for transfer spots here as the laps wind down, although Parise has 2nd secured at this moment in time.
Yeah, and hell, hey, I was about to say, I forgot to make my point. We haven't seen any Fords out. I was very disappointed that there are no Fords, but in fact, Connor Parise has decided, apparently that's a Mustang, apparently, so... either way, so I'm already thumbs up for the number 16 car. Either way, the Atlantic Club driver of the 1-6 is running fairly strong right now. He hasn't really been challenged at all by Brandon Pedersen, but one slight slip up, one little mistake, and he certainly could be all over him.
Exactly. Yeah, there's zero room for error. As the line that they're running, if they miss their mark just an inch, we mentioned it time and time again, it could set them back and give an opportunity for someone lurking in the shadows to just hop right on them.
Yeah, and John Hayne might be that car in the shadows. The Pappy's machine is working there, is trying to work his way in, but unfortunately he's just covered from Connor Parise and Brandon Pedersen. We were a little bit off last time, so I'm going to presume that we're like with 8. We've got 8 laps in. That's going to be my guess. Yeah, I think we are actually, because I think I've just figured out a way to do this. Yeah, so we should be on lap 7. This should be lap 8 right now, so we got 2 to go at the line, and Zach Leonardi has completely checked out, and Connor Parise is even comfortable.
Yeah, he is. Really, there was a battle shaping up there briefly between Brandon Pedersen and John Hayne, a race for 3rd, but even that is kind of spread out as we see Brandon Pedersen in the picture here in the 83 starting to challenge the 16 of Connor Parise a little bit, but there's still a little bit of room there for Parise to counter with the move if he's approached by the 83 of Pedersen.
I think it's one of those situations as we are on the final lap, or actually we've got 2 to go right now, so there we go, now we're starting the final lap. But I just think Parise a little bit too far ahead, easy to defend, but Zach Leonardi, the 24 car, he's got it, so there you go, just like that. Heat number 4 winner, heats are locked and away. That's going to be Zach Leonardi and Connor Parise as they all bunch up. It's not like Heat 1. Heat 1 made it look good. Everyone else has been having issues. But Zach Leonardi takes first. Connor Parise second. Brandon Pedersen will come home third. Just 1 spot out of the transfer spot. John Hayne, then Lindsey Hobbs, and then it was Scott Bellum. So good heat running that we've had here, and we've got the race winner and overall points leader right now, Zach Leonardi. Leading the American Dirt Series and leading in heat number 4. Never challenged. Zach, how is Knoxville?
I'm liking it right about now. I think it's just going to get better and better. I think I'm not really the best in the wide open, so I think the slicker it gets, the more it'll come to me, but I'm liking it right about now.
Yeah, and the track really seemed to be... cars seem to be kind of searching for grip as far as the 2x2 racing goes, but for all intents and purposes, I mean, the track seems to be slicking it off pretty expectedly. And, I mean, overall, it's you're looking to perhaps run that inside line as the time goes on?
Well, I mean, right now, I still think it's the best line. Like, I was able to go a few 6s and some 70s in that heat race, and that's what everyone else is pretty much going. But, like, when I started searching around a little bit, I mean, I could roll about a lane up above it and still go 70s and 80s. So I think the more it slicks off and the harder it is to get to that bottom, I think it'll even out a good bit because it's definitely a lot slower down there than it was earlier.
Well, either way, you've got the Trophy Dash coming up. All of the top 2 finishers in all the heats will make your trophy dash. But either way, as the racetrack develops on, it's probably going to have a strong outside line at some point, probably going to come into play. But either way, I'll give the floor to you. Anyone you would like to give a shout out to? Anyone like to say hello to? And well, I'm sure this probably won't be the first time we have a conversation if you keep running the way you do. But either way, floor is yours.
Well, I don't really have anyone to thank right now. I'm not really on a team or nothing, so I guess
thank me.
I thank you, man. Thank you a lot for this interview. The broadcast that was pretty awesome, so I appreciate it.
No, I don't. Well, there's got to be something. But
I mean, I guess I'll just give a shout out. I've done it the last 2 weeks, so my iRacing little design thing. I do Leonardo race designs. I just design paints and stuff for people, and so you can send me a PM or email or something. And I can get that for you, but at the time, that's about all it is.
Well, there you go. So, Zach Leonardi, thanks for hopping in the booth, and we'll get ready to get to that trophy dash. So, best of luck.
Thank you.
So, with that, we are going to move to the trophy dash. I was wondering which one was going to come first, whether we were going to get a heat or we were going to get a trophy dash. And, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a 12-lap trophy dash, as the grid should be coming up on your screens momentarily as we get that ready to rock and roll. It will be Greg Thompson starting in first. Howard Weaver will start in second. Alex Bergeron will start in third. Zach Leonardi will be starting in fourth. And you got Josh Phillips, Austin Selwyn, David Kilinowski, and then Connor Parise. And actually, those aren't anyone's starting orders because I'm pretty confident that they do an inversion thing. Because I think that's how that works. It was set by random redraw of 0 to 10 prior to the trophy dash, so I don't know how that's going to come in. But either way, Ben, saw some good heat racing. Nothing too crazy, but I think we got a pretty good show on what we're expecting.
Yeah, heat race number 3, we saw some excellent action there between Mike Crown and DJ Kilinowski. But, this trophy dash, we're going to see the fastest of the fast that have done well in hot laps. They obviously did well in qualifying in their heat races, and they're going to be bunched together. And Cam, the most cars that we've seen is 6 on the track. We're going to have 8, and 8 excellent fast cars. I'm very excited to see how this is going to shape up.
All right, so I just got the word. We're going to invert the top 4. Top 4 are going to get inverted tonight for the trophy dash. I wish I had like a ball cap, and you make a whole show of it down in the front, right in front of the flagger stand. I don't think Hugo would be too interested in doing any of that though. So we'll just tell you that they inverted the top 4 after drawing a name. I'm going to presume it's out of a hat. I'm sure a computer did it, but don't take that away from me. Either way, so it looks like it's going to be Zach Leonardi will be leading over Alex Bergeron. Then you're going to have Howard Weaver, then Greg Thompson. Then you're going to have Josh Phillips, Austin Selman, David Kilinowski, and then Connor Parise. And just as you were saying, Ben, it looks to me, as the cars are getting ready to start lining themselves up, Josh Phillips is the first one on pit lane. It looks to me like it's all of these guys have been able to race kind of almost in a bubble where they didn't have any challenge, and, well, that's going to get turned on its head.
Exactly. All 4 heat race winners for the most part. I know the first 2, it was like 2 packs that we saw break away from the main body, but in every instance, the leader won without really any challenge being thrown at him. So this will be their first real challenge of the night, so to speak.
And poor Josh Phillips, he had to do some white knuckle holding on to the pit lane there as everyone went around him. As there goes Zach Leonardi, Alex Bergeron, Howard Weaver, Josh Phillips, Thompson, Selman, Kilinowski, and Parise. So anyway, these cars are going to make up your trophy dash. I don't know what the trophy is. I have no idea what the trophy looks like. I have a feeling that in modern day racing that they don't actually get a trophy for the trophy dash, but if they did, I'm sure it would be a good looking trophy. Either way, Leonardi is going to get himself ready to go. 2 laps, getting ready to warm up, and really it's going to be very dependent that he gets his whole shot, Ben, which is going to be difficult when you've got somebody like Alex Bergeron on his outside and Howard Weaver at the rear.
Well, Leonardi is just a solid driver. He was dominant in that heat race. He's finished second in the only 2 features so far with this series in this season. And he's the current points leader. Still looking for that first win. Perhaps tonight is the night. I'm really going to keep my eyes on Greg Thompson. He was perfect in hot laps, qualifying this heat race. We'll see if Cinderella can get to the ball on time.
And we will be seeing that here on RaceSpotTV, iRacing Live. Hello, I am not Randy Chenoweth. Instead, I'm Cam Walsh with Ben Deathrage here on RaceSpotTV. We do have Hugo, so I mean, hey, that's your one constant. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the American Dirt Series Trophy Dash. So these are your top 2 winners in the 4 heats. Heat racing's done. Now's the time to put on the show as we are going to green here in quarter number 1.
A great job for Zach Leonardi. Basically, template start from his heat race in heat number 4. He's out in front, jettisoning himself out in front like he's been shot out of a cannon.
And Weaver had a very rough start there. He took the super inside line going into 1, and he nailed that bump. Got chucked up the track. Somebody gets turned around, and that's Bergeron. Bergeron collects Semmelman. We're going to be under yellow here as Bergeron will find himself. He's going to be the one that gets sent into the spin cycle. So, well, there you go. We've had our first caution as we're going to get the replay right now. And it just looks to me like he just gets kind of muscled around and thrown around.
Yeah, looks like a little bit of incidental contact. I mean, you know, almost like he was thrown in a pinball machine there for a moment. So you saw a little bit of contact with Weaver, and there's Greg Thompson in the 313. But it just looks like maybe some cosmetic damage, although Zemmelman did take a pretty big shot to the rear end.
Yeah, and cars are getting lined right back up. So, of course, these laps don't count as Zach Leonardi, just like that. We didn't even get time to go look at it. And there goes actually just like that. 2 cars to the outside wall. We're going to go right back under yellow. DJ Kilinowski and Greg Thompson. That's going to be 2 retirees from your trophy dash. Very unfortunate for these guys as, well, we're right back under caution.
Oh, man, and these 2 drivers have, you know, obviously to just get in this race, you've had an incredibly successful night. From the case of Greg Thompson, he's had a perfect night, looking for the clean sweep, and unfortunately going to have to retire early. But not done for the night, Cam. He's still got the main event. Both these drivers have the main event coming up, but definitely not how they want to end this dash.
No, and this is valuable track time for that A-main. And we got to remember, as we, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it on to page 2. As the finishing order in the trophy dash determines the starting order for the A-main, so that is pretty tough there. And because of that, we're going to start single file, and that is one thing that I really like, Ben, is that they're able to make these changes on the fly that the iRacing system might not be able to have. And they get to start themselves, and he takes a big, hefty shot, Zach Leonardi does, from the rear of Howard Weaver. We're back to green.
Well, we'll see what Howard Weaver can do in the 070s. He sticks right with Leonardi, and both of them are going to motor their way down the backstretch. But Leonardi, a little bit of an advantage, about a car length or 2 between first and second.
And Howard Weaver in that orange and black machine, which is great because I'm wearing an orange t-shirt, but that doesn't mean I'm a Howard Weaver supporter. I like Howard, though, so don't think I'm not. But anyways, we'll see what Howard can do in his Toyota Camry as he tries to chase down Zach Leonardi, and he tries the super high line, and all that really gets him bent is Josh Phillips.
Yeah, Josh Phillips running a very close third as Connor Parise, and looks like Austin Zemmelman is going to crack into the top 5 as we continue to work the lap count.
Yeah, so right now it's Leonardi, it's Weaver, Phillips, Parise, Austin Zemmelman, then Bergeron, then Kilinowski. So Bergeron, he's trying to make his time up, but the thing is, Austin Zemmelman is too, and Bergeron's trying to take a couple of swipes now. Parise is there, and he's going to park his machine there happily in the middle of the racing surface. So a couple of battles going on we'll try to keep you on par with, but all you need to know, Zach Leonardi, he's got about maybe a 5-car lead, but he's trying the outside line, and Weaver's trying to work that inside line, so who knows how that's going to work, but right now it's Weaver versus Phillips, and then it's Parise versus the rest.
Correct, and that battle for 4th between the 25 and the 28, you could really only fit a toddler's book in between them. It's that close as it becomes, once again, a 3-car battle for 4th.
Yeah, and it's about 6 cat hairs wide, I would presume, but I just, for Paris, well, you know what, it's impressive, because these guys haven't actually hit each other yet, and Bergeron will find himself getting nipped, as we've got 5 to go here, so 5 laps to go in the Trophy Dash. It's impressive, Ben, these guys haven't really made any serious contact with one another as they've gone through these corners despite racing so closely.
Correct, they're really driving conservative because they don't want to wear out their equipment here. They want to get as much time, and they're also being courteous drivers too, which you normally don't see despite some rush hour traffic at your local metropolis.
Yeah, going down Route 90 or 81 or 690 in the morning here in Syracuse, and literally no one else here is from Syracuse, so we'll just leave that one for me. Or it's like driving to Rio de Janeiro. Hugo knows that. But either way, I will say Austin Selman has been able to power the outside line over Connor Paris. That outside line perhaps coming into it as we got about probably, 3 to go?
Yeah, right around there. And remember, Zimmelman, he was involved in that first caution we had earlier in this race, and so was Bergeron. And both drivers are, so to speak, recovering nicely.
So this should be your last lap, and here comes Zach Leonardi as they will take the white flag. So Leonardi has got 1 to go. He has got just 2 more corners between him and victory in the Trophy Dash. Howard Weaver has had nothing. He's built a slow gap. Josh Phillips, and he got a pretty hefty gap. And here comes Bergeron. He throws the door. He pushes Connor Paris as they're going to run the drag race, but Paris is able to stretch the legs on his machine. Will he get it? No, he will not. It will go to Alex Bergeron. So just like that, we have had a fair Trophy Dash here as Weaver is still loving the rear end of vehicles going down the finishing runs here as, they're going to line themselves up. It'll have Ben, Leonardi, it'll be Weaver, it'll be Phillips, Alston Silva, Connor Paris, Alex Bergeron, and then DJ Kilinowski. So don't know how they figured that out over at the start-finish line, but good finishing here in the heat and the Trophy Dash.
Yeah, an excellent Trophy Dash. Unfortunately, we saw some incidents that had some tore-up race equipment, but overall, some good action.
Yeah, and so the rest of the cars are now perhaps starting to get onto pit lane here, as we'll see if we can get a replay of the last lap drag between Connor Paris and Alex Bergeron, and we'll see if we can get that up on the screen. And there you go. Thanks, Hugo. So he came through the final couple of corners here, and he gets right behind him. He's covering through. We'll see if we can get some slow motion, whatever magicry going on as they get to the start-finish line. But it looks to me like Bergeron might have had it. But it's one of those hard things to call. Not sure who they're going to give the results to. That's the thing, Ben. There's kind of no dotted line to kind of take a photo finish from.
Yeah, and that makes it difficult. And but both these drivers, you got to commend both of them. They race so hard, and I might note this, Kim, extremely clean. One of these guys could have used up the other, but they decide not to. They decide just to, put their nose to the grindstone and work hard.
Yeah, and they raced good, and that was good to see. So looks to me like in the Trophy Dash, it did end up going to Alex Bergeron over Connor Paris. So I will say, where is our Trophy Dash winner? It's Zach Leonardi. Perhaps he just got done having his conversation with us. So, but either way, there he is, Zach Leonardi. He's your Trophy Dash winner. Zach, it feels like I talked to you like 5 minutes ago. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I got someone to thank this time.
Oh boy, we'll get to that in a moment. But either way, Trophy Dash. You had Howard Weaver all over your rear, and Josh Phillips and Alex Bergeron. He was trying to be there, but after that early start, he had an incident. He got pushed through the cycle. Just take me through your race.
Yeah, I mean, definitely right now, this track state, it's starting to wide out for sure. You can see Howard was getting me there at the end on the top, but starting on pole helped me a whole lot. But I felt pretty confident going into it. I knew I could roll that bottom, I think, a lot better than most of those guys. So I was thinking, as slick as it is, I'd be able to have a chance at the win anyway. But starting on pole, I knew I pretty much just had to not mess up. But no, that was pretty good because, I mean, I was surprised I was able to pull out there in Howard because Howard, he's incredibly tough everywhere, especially at Knoxville. So gives me a little confidence going into the race.
Well, and either way, we'll now give you the floor. Whom is that individual to thank?
Well, he didn't give me a straight answer, but I'm going to guess Cody's the guy that does the draw. So whoever drew me a 1, I got to send a big thank you to that guy.
There you go. So just like that, either way, Zach, thank you so much. We'll see you in the A main, bud, and take care.
Thank you.
So that's Zach Leonardi. They're getting ready for the B main here on the American Dirt Series as we're getting ready to get these things, the show on the road. Let's take a look back, though, Ben. That Trophy Dash, I have to say, I think people can put their hat on that one. That was pretty good.
It was a very action-packed Trophy Dash and a little bit of an introduction, I think, of what we can look forward to and watching in the main event. Of course, another introduction is going to be this consolation feature where you've got a lot of drivers that are not in the main event but are going to try and I shouldn't say by hook or by crook, but are going to try their very best to get out of this and into the big dance.
Well, they used to call it by hook or by crook, but now I think we'll just call it they're going to Dylan people. But that's a conversation for another day. How about that? But either way, this is going to be our first big car field. How about that? We're going to have a big old field, 14 machines, ready to rock and roll. They're going to get themselves sorted out and ready to go. So you can see pit lane is a very busy place. Right now, they get themselves ready, and it is going to be in the hands of the number 17 machine. That is going to be Richard Stallings. Todd LeBeau is going to be on his outside, and the rest of the field on the screen right now. But Mike Crown is going to be starting third. Then it's Pedersen, Smolders, Wisely, Reinhardt, Hain, Younganeer, and then you've got New Halfen, which nobody's told me how to pronounce, so I'm just going to presume it's correct. Then Matthews, then Hobbs, then Ho, then Poston. So 14 cars, Ben, as well as I believe John Coombs and Scott Bellum. Actually, I see them hanging off the bottom of the spreadsheet. But, Ben, it's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to have a lot of cars, and this is where your track is really going to get worn in.
Exactly, and this is a perfect opportunity for this track to widen out and see some guys drift towards those white rails at the top and run the board.
Now, cars are running right now as I definitely regret not grabbing a drink before we started doing this, so that was my bad. But, either way, Richard Stallings, that number 17 machine, as they're going to get ready to go, that number 17 wants to get this show started. They're going to line up 2 by 2 and get ready to go. So you've got that extraordinarily vibrant yellow, stark blue, and black late model of Stallings with the yellow and black of Todd LeBeau. And you got the all-yellow car of Mike Cron, and then you got the all-black car of Brandon Pedersen. So variations, basically, as we get ready to rock and roll, as we are going to get ready to see where about people will land. What we're going to do, we're going to get ready to go green as we get ready to go on the trip. Richard Stallings is going to lead us into the B main, and there goes the rears as he lights them up. We're green here at Knoxville. So just like that, Richard Stallings was able to take the front. Actually, a couple of cars turn around. Eric Ho, Jonathan Combs, and I believe might have been some of the other cars, as the rear suspension of Ho's, I believe, might have been messed up. I'm not sure, Ben, what happened there.
We'll take a look at the replay here. It looks like just a lot of...
everyone piled up on each other.
Yeah, a lot of people going into not a lot of real estate, to put it simply. And, yeah, it looked like some heavy hits taken, too.
Damage is spread all sorts around. It looked like almost like Dan Smolders kind of took the rut there, and he had to basically slow right up. Colin Wisely missed it. He had to slow on down, and then they just accordion in on each other. So damage spread around, and it looks to be like perhaps the biggest loser on that one was Eric Ho and Jonathan Coombs. So either way, they're going to get themselves sorted out. Is just in time we go back to green flag racing here at Knoxville.
Richard Stallings is your early race leader in the number 17. Following him is the 94, Todd LeBeau, but he's got some company underneath him. Dan Smolders in the 99, then the 01 of Colin Wisely, and rounding up the current top 5, the 02 of Terry Renner.
And a little bit further down on the field, you can see a big old battle between Cole Neal-Halfin, Connor Youngneer, and Brandon Pedersen. And there's Malachi Matthews. Matthews getting a big slide on. He actually gets straightened out by Lindsey Hobbs. So pretty tough racing here. And Mike Cron has found himself cycled in the back despite starting in the top 4. Oh, as they get themselves sorted out. And we've got 12 to go here in the B main as Stallings will get on through. Is it Stallings, LeBeau, Smolders, and Wisely? You basically, Ben, got this 1, 2, 3 of Stallings, LeBeau, and Smolders, and then basically the rest of the field.
Yeah, top 3 drivers starting to create a little bit of space. Is Colin Wisely trying to keep the Barbarians at the gate at bay? The 02 of Terry Renner, the 83 of, the 8 of Youngren, and the 83 of Pedersen. All 3 of those drivers battling hard and trying to stay with some of those front runners.
Yeah, and for Terry Renner, is we always got to remember, all are going to transfer, by the way, to the A main. We are fighting for the positions. The starting positions from 11 to 24 in the A main. So good running we got going on here as laps continue to tick on down. Big old battle between Connor Youngneer and Terry Renner, Ben. And these guys, they are starting to lean on each other a bit more. I'm not sure if that's because the track is wearing in as such, or these guys are getting a little bit more ready to use the elbows.
Well, I think they do know that they're up against the clock. It's time to shine. It's time to really hit that stride. And, sometimes I wouldn't say tempers flare, but they start to get a little bit on the agitated side when they might get a chop or two.
Yeah, and I think for me, you really want to get used to running laps right now. They really kind of just want to practice, not practice. This is not practice. This is a race. Never go into a race presuming it's practice. But it's one of those things where these guys really need to focus on these car battles, because in that A main, when everything's on the line, they are really going to need to be able to understand all aspects of this track. Almost 3 wide racing behind Terry Renner right now. The 02, Mike Cron, and Cole Halfin. Neal-Halfin, excuse me. They look like they wanted to do some 3 wide action. Track just wasn't supportive of it. 5 to go.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this is, it isn't a practice. It is a race, and you want to do as best you can, because you don't just want to be hanging out, in 15th place just logging laps. You want to be towards the front, because where you have a better chance at starting towards the front, and obviously you don't go to a racetrack wanting to finish 10th or 12th. You go to win.
Well, unless you're me, in which case finishing 10th or 12th would be absolutely outstanding, and I would take that. But for everyone else who are actually competent racing car drivers here on the iRacing service, yes, they want to finish as high as they can. They want to get a good start here in the A main. We saw how everyone stacked up at the start of this one, as we're looking to look like we're going to have 3 to go in a few moments' time. But it's one of those things where you really got to be careful, because you saw how everyone accordioned at the start of this B main. You can see as we get the 2 to go right now, what could happen if that happened in the A main.
Yeah, and we look at LeBeau making a late run here on Stallings. LeBeau's really figured something out as he's moving actually all over the racetrack. High and low, he's able to make that thing go fast.
Yes, he is. White flag is in the air. Richard Stallings is looking to take victory here in the B main, get himself ready to go for the A main. Todd LeBeau, the momentum seems to have swung out of his 94 machine, as here they come. Richard Stallings will bring his machine across the start-finish line, and he will win in the B main. It'll be LeBeau second, Smolders third, Wisely fourth, Then it'll be Youngneer, Halfin, Cron, Hobbs, Kims, Poston, Matthews, Rennert, Bellum, and Hain. So the field parking their cars now, so easy enough to go through kind of the finishing order here. Good running here in the B main, if I say so myself, Ben. And just kind of before we run through the results, I have to say, pretty successful running here.
Yeah, you know, we had a little bit of carnage at the start, but once that kind of ironed itself out and sorted itself, everybody raced hard, raced clean, and there was some good action throughout the field.
Yeah, so we've got Richard Stallings to interview, but we'll go through it real quick where people lie. So it was Stallings, LeBeau, Smolders, Wisely, Pedersen, Youngneer, Newholfen, Cron, Hobbs, Kims, Poston, Matthews, Rennert, Bellum, and then Hain. So we've got our B main winner here, Richard Stallings. Richard, congratulations. That number 17 car looked pretty strong. How's that Knoxville track treating you right now?
It's a little tricky, to be honest, but I like it. It's racy.
Well, and you didn't seem to have too much of a fight from Todd LeBeau, but he came on quick with about maybe 3 or 4 to go, and you were able to just kind of keep powering away. How easy is it to run kind of a defensive line here at the Knoxville Raceway?
To be honest, I really didn't know how close he was, because I don't even run a mirror or nothing like that. So I was just trying different lines, to be honest, for the feature, just see what was out there. So I knew I'd finish, at least second, if not, first, by doing that.
Well, you found yourself in first, and you stayed that way. You kept it that way, and as such, I'd like to give you the floor, and anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to or thanks, and congratulations here on your B-main victory.
Not really anybody to say anything to except for you guys at RaceSpotTV. You guys do a great job.
Well, either way, thank you very much for that. Thanks for hopping in the booth with us. We really appreciate it, and congratulations on your win, and best of luck in the A-main.
Thank you, sir.
So, with that, Richard Stallings is going to go back to pit lane, and it's as much as I would like to say we're going to go take a quick break. We don't get a break, as Hugo works us. He works us to the bone. It's Brazilian labor standards here. As we're going to get ready to probably get ready for the C main, that would be kind of the best of the rest, I would presume. No, okay, so we should have a C main, but either way, Ben, it's been pretty good running, I think, so far. That was our first big car race, and I gotta say, pretty good running.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the more cars, the more the track gets worked and everything. And yeah, as you said, wish we could have a break. What I'm used to is, a little bit of a break to where the track gets worked, as in watered, rototillered, and all that, and a brand new racing surface is pretty much prepped for the A main. But obviously not the case here right now. But should be some great racing coming up.
Should be. We're going to take a very quick commercial break before we get ourselves ready to go. So we will take 5 minutes. And as such, you are watching the American Dirt Series here live on iRacing Live. RaceSpotTV is round number 3 at Knoxville. We'll be right back in a few moments' time.
Crazy control. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.
Just like a movie, just like a storybook. We are the future, we're the ones they won't overlook. It's time to be the hero. Rising, like you've never seen, like you've never seen. Looking for a hero. Just like in a dream, just like in a dream.
Oh, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. May I present to you the American Dirt Series feature event. It's the A-Main here at Knoxville Raceway. The cars have been able to get out, do some practice laps, get everyone all sorted out. We've been able to get some drinks, both the entertaining kind and the not so entertaining kind, as we're going to get ourselves ready to rock and roll. Hello, everybody. I'm Cameron Walsh, and with Ben, Death Rage, and with Hugo Louis, we are bringing the show to you. Thanks, everyone, for making RaceSpotTV part of your night. Don't be afraid to leave a thumbs up thingy, because apparently that's important to people that we report to or something. I don't know. Either way, let's take a look at as we're going to get ready for some fireworks, as we've got the old pace car back out, which makes my life so much easier because I don't have to count to 60 anymore by my head. So with that, we're going to look at the starting grid here at the A-Main at Knoxville Raceway. It's going to be Zach Leonardi, Howard Weaver, Josh Phillips, Austin Sebelman, Alex Bergeron's going to be starting a little bit back, Connor Parise, David Kilinowski, Greg Thompson, who had put in very fast lap time, Richard Stallings, Todd LeBeau, Dan Smulders, Colin Wisely, Brandon Pedersen, Connor Youngnear, Cole, no, goodness me, Cole, just get a different last name. That's the only thing I can suggest. It's Cole Newhaufen. Oh my goodness me, Ben! I just have such a bad time with that last name. I don't even know why. Mike Cron, Lindsey Hobbs, John Coombs, Hunter Post, and Terry Renner, John Haynes, Scott Bellum, and Malachi Matthews. I feel very bad for Cole because I feel like his last name isn't actually that hard to say, and I just can't do it. But either way, so we're getting ourselves ready to go as the pace truck is going to be ready to proceed here at Knoxville. And we'd like to thank you all for making us part of your day, and hope that we get a good show going. Caution laps are unfortunately going to be counting here just because of how the iRacing system goes. And Ben, well, this is what everyone showed up for. This is what everyone wants to get this action going on as they work their way underneath that, well, hopefully underneath, but behind that pacing truck. Now, this is everything they've worked for. They've had some practice time. Now it's trigger time.
Exactly. This is the moment. You know, no imitation. This is like a rocket about ready to be sent into orbit, and it's going to be an exciting one to watch as the field enters the racetrack and the sky gets lit up by the fireworks. And Cam Walsh, it should be a fantastic feature.
I'm looking forward to it as the fireworks light the sky. The cars are ready to rock and roll. No, like 5-car salute or anything like that. No 4-wide salutes. That's unfortunate. But we do get, however, is the mean machines of the super late models here in the American Dirt Series. These guys are ready to rock and roll the half-mile circuit. That is Knoxville Raceway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the lighter out of the pace truck. That means that we are getting ready to go green this time. Bye! And we are getting ready for the show. Not a show, not one of the shows, the show here on Thursday night. The American Dirt Series, of course, brought to us by Dirt Kill Media House, CMF Motors Electronics, Kings of Dirt, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Down Under Graphics, Shiloh Forestry, and B-Dirt 1934, whatever that means for you, as they're going to get themselves ready. They'll sort themselves yet after the pace car. What does that mean? Oh, it's a 65. Oh, I see. We are going to get a 3-wide salute then. Ben, I kind of oversold the start of the race. We did a whoopsie doodle there. But either way, they'll get themselves sorted out. So what that means then is we do get a salute. So I will say then, nothing gets ready to start the day, I guess, Ben, like a 3-wide salute, as they get themselves ready to do as such. Just a good facet of dirt racing all around the world.
Exactly, and this really gets the blood pumping, the veins with that ice water flowing through them. It adds a little extra piece to that. As you can see, the crowd is packed, and they are awaiting an exciting feature tonight here at Knoxville, Iowa.
And, well, I'm waiting for them to start sorting themselves out, because normally you would think, as Howard Weaver has been managing to paint every single car he has found orange, which is good, as I'm waiting to make sure that is exactly what we're doing, as there we go, now they're starting to form themselves up, and, okay, well, we're going to form ourselves up 2-wide then, which means to me that I can't say I particularly know. If Randy were here, he would be familiar with it. But either way, they get themselves sorted out. So, Hugo, I don't know if we're going green or what we're going to be doing, but either way, I can say with a fair bit of confidence that it is going to be a very short moment of time, as it looks to me almost like they're getting ready. It'll go green with 60 to go. So, okay, thank you. But it looks to me, anyways, like it's going to be a fairly decent show. We're going to have, 22 cars ready to go, and I'm extraordinarily excited. I mean, 20 cars, I think that's probably going to be the most I have ever seen in the iRacing service racing at one time, and hopefully we can keep it green, Ben.
Yeah, and, our front pole position, we've got Zach Leonardi. He's got 2 second-place finishes. He's the current point leader. But to his outside, Howard Weaver. He picked up the big one in Eldora last week. He's going to look to be the first multi-feature winner in this 2018 campaign. We'll see if he can do it. But there's several other drivers that would disagree with that they think that any of those two drivers should win, that they have just as a fair amount of chances they do. And we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, so I finally now, the picture has been painted now. All right, so they're gridding themselves correctly. That's what's up, because they had to sort the grids because obviously everyone was running the practice laps, the qualifying, and et cetera, et cetera. So with that, now we are ready to go green. We're going to have 60 laps of a motor racing action here on iRacing Live. And of course, we are so very happy that you are here with us here on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV. Get ready, 60 laps of super dirt car action coming off of corner number 4. The Reds build, the throttle goes, and we are green here at Knoxville.
Zach Leonardi with the whole shot going into turn number 1. Right behind him, Howard Weaver, and Josh Phillips trying to hold back a couple of cars. He holds down 3rd, Alex Bergeron 4th, and Austin Simmelman is your top 5.
Almost 3 wide around Connor Parise. He's surrounded by a ball of super late models. Greg Thompson's there. The car of Austin Selman is there. Alex Bergeron's working inside it. Josh Phillips is there pulling offside. And here comes Bergeron giving a little bit of door to him there as he works his way in. As Bergeron will look to move up 1 position. Hopefully we'll see here Bergeron. He's moved himself up +1 over Josh Phillips.
Up front, it's a decent battle for the lead between the 07 Howard Weaver and Zach Leonardi. Those two drivers were quite close with one another, and similar to what we saw in heat race action earlier tonight, the top 2 cars separating from the field.
Yeah, which is impressive. Doesn't matter how many cars they put behind them. They just managed to keep it up there. Semmelman riding way up the track. He threw it inside Josh Phillips to try to clear, and he manages to make that work. But the VLR machine of Alex Bergeron, he's running fairly good laps. He ran 1/10 faster than Zach Leonardi and Howard Weaver, but he was not able to get that last lap. As good battling between Greg Thompson and Connor Parise. It looks to me, Ben, like Greg is trying that inside line, and it might just be working.
Well, Greg Thompson was tonight's fast timer. He won his heat race. He was fastest in hot laps, but in the trophy dash, got into a tangle, and he had to start, I believe it was 8th on the grid here, and so he's kind of clawing his way back to the front. Yellow. It looks like we're under caution.
And where might that be? That is the question. Uh-oh, who pulled out the yellow? Uh-oh, now I'm going to be confused. Perhaps it was Lindsey Hobbs, because that is the only car I see. Yes, it is. So that is it, the 7 and the 94. We'll get a replay here on RaceSpotTV. You can see Lindsey Hobbs, the Australian, the only Australian in attendance today, getting hooked by that 94 machine and sent into the outside wall. That brought out the yellow. And, I mean, Ben, I think the car could have continued, but iRacing pulling the trigger on getting us under yellow, which means we're going to stack everybody back up behind that official pace truck.
Yeah, tough break for Lindsey Hobbs, and looked like the 94, Todd LeBou, both drivers involved in that incident. And, yep, that'll put a little bit of pause in the action. And Cam Walsh, it'll allow these drivers to bunch up once again. Top 2 are starting to check out, but there was also some respectable battles throughout the field.
Yeah, and I think for me, Alex Bergeron's going to be pretty excited about this one. He started back in the 5th position for this A-main. What that means is he's now running in 3rd, so he is going to try to jump this start because Alex will always try to jump the start. That is his MO. And we'll have to see whether he gets the count right or he gets the count wrong. As the lights are out on the pace truck, that means this time by, we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing. You're watching the American Dirt Series here live on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV. And so as such, thank you for sticking along with us this so far. We're on lap 14 of, will be lap, probably got maybe 49 to go. That's going to be my guess. As Zach Leonardi is running inside Howard Weaver. It'll be up to Zach Leonardi. It's a pin to go. It'll give us a 1 Mississippi, and he will get that, grab it going. Howard Weaver tried to jump it, and as soon as he stopped going, there's 2 cars in the wall outside. One's almost upside out. It's Connor Paris's. They're going to continue. Paris's machine going to be significantly damaged. However, they'll have to shake that thing down and see how it's working, and Josh Phillips gets himself around and crashed on the outside wall. He will finally get turned around. We'll see if we bring the yellow out, and Ben, we stay green.
Yeah, tough break for Phillips and Paris. There's Paris. We look at the replay. Oh my, Duke's a hazard move right there. Able to keep it going, able to keep it the dirty side down.
Yeah, and very lucky in that. A little bit of, you wouldn't expect, I mean, maybe the big old fencing keeping the cars straightened out. But either way, looking up to the front of the field, it's Zach Leonardi as you're watching the replay. Yeah, not a view you want to see over your top air cooler. But either way, they've managed to get themselves all righted out and ready to go. So Zach Leonardi, though, is not getting anywhere as Connor Priest does bring that machine down pit road. So his day not going the way he wanted it to. Is Leonardi, he is swarmed by Howard Weaver, and here comes Alex Bergeron.
These guys are running the extreme bottom of the racetrack, right on that lower berm, and Cam Walsh, we mentioned earlier, you don't want to get too low because it'll jump the front end and it'll break up all your momentum. It'll send you in all sorts of directions. As, oh my, Leonardi drifts way high, and it looks like Howard Weaver in the 07 is going to put up a challenge for the top spot.
It almost looked like Leonardi wanted to run the outside line. He threw the car intentionally high, and I do not think he's going to be too happy with that decision because now Howard Weaver is there. See how high he's throwing it out? That inside line is so dominant over 1 and 2. He gives him the overrunner, and he gives Alex Bergeron a nice little door barge as he now pulls the inside line for Howard Weaver. So good running up here for the lead of the race.
A brilliant crossover move by Leonardi as he was able to build up a little bit of momentum in his favor as his exit speed was incredible coming off of turn 2. And it looks like these guys might have figured something out, especially in turn 2 as Weaver gets a good shot going down the back stretch.
And Greg Thompson has caught himself up to this lead pack here. Your top 5 basically all right on top of each other. It's Leonardi to Weaver, it's Bergeron to Sibbelman, and then you got Greg Thompson, and then you got a good battle going on. It's Young, Neer, Smolder, Stallings, Kilanowski, and New Alphen. So the rest of the field's following along here, but it's hard to pull away from the lead lap battle like this, Ben, when you've got a fantastic run here. Looks like Zach is covering the inside line, but he washes out because of that hit, and they're going to go 3 wide for just a second going down the backstretch.
Oh my, it is starting to build up as far as theatrics are concerned. These drivers are all running hard. It's a 5-car race for the lead practically at this moment in time. Zach Leonardi somehow, though, Cam, some way, he manages to hold on the lead. It looks like Weaver just briefly clipped that inside berm and lost a little ground to the 24.
Yeah, and we are now running about 20 laps ran here in the A-Main feature event here, 60 laps in total, which means we have got 40 to go this time by Leonardi. And Leonardi and Weaver's fight has closed Semmelman and Bergeron. Greg Thompson also hovering in the background. It looks to me like Bergeron wants to get this show rolling. He keeps that fat right rear on the inside grip, and he tries to throw that car through as it looks like Leonardi keeps trying, Ben, to run that outside line. He just doesn't seem to get anything.
Correct. It looked like Weaver was just a little bit faster on the bottom, and he was able to motor his way forward, inch his way, and create some separation. But not for long, because here comes Alex Bergeron in the 25, hot on his heels, right on his 6 o'clock.
So with that, Howard Weaver, he's covering for Bergeron, and so Leonardi is now cycled back to third. Plenty of time to go, though, 39 to go here at the line, so there is a lot going on as far as the racing goes. Is Bergeron now trying to push for the lead?
Yeah, we got Howard Weaver, who won last week, and 2 weeks ago finishing third, Alex Bergeron, and you've got Zach Leonardi, who has 2 straight second-place finishes in the 24. Top-tier talent duking it out here at Knoxville Raceway.
And so we'll start looking around for the rest of the field. If anything happens between Weaver and Bergeron, of course, we will let you know. But looks to me like Connor Young-Neer, Dan Smolders, DJ Kilanowski, Richard Stallings, who won the B-Main, Cole Newhalfen, Brandon Pedersen, these guys, this is kind of a second group right now, and they're running strong.
Well, all it'll take is a caution or two to get these guys in the hunt, possibly. That's if they found something that they like, or, you know, and here's something we haven't really touched on, utilizing their equipment. Have they used their tires too much to where that they're going to be ineffective?
Now, this is 60 laps, so, I mean, you do get a pretty good run, pretty long run, longer than what you'll see in normal iRacing official racing. Dan Smulders running the inside over Connor Young-Nier. And here comes the 99, and DJ Kilinowski, he had a very good run in the B-Main and one of the heats, and so, of course, he wants some of this action. Cole Newhalfen, he's also looking to get involved in this one. Your front five right now are all running single file. That's why we can continue to look at this battle right now, because, my goodness, it is a good one.
It is. They're a tight-knit pack, and it could go sway either way. A little bit of some seesaw battles between not just one or two, but 3 or 4 cars.
And it looks like they are going to look to go 3 wide, almost 4, going into corner number 1. So Kilinowski leads this small little pack here as Connor Young-Nier has pulled himself away, as the lap times, unfortunately, are not as good as the front runners, so Connor's going to be on an island himself. But this battling, however, with this pack from 7th position on back, so very impressive now. These guys have been able to run. The racing bed has been clean so far.
It has. Throughout the field, it's been fairly clean. There's been a couple of scuffles, but nothing too major, as it looks like Howard Weaver's starting to close in on some lap traffics.
And as far as I can tell, I mean, normally this is not something that we normally get in the your dirt nights and whatnot. So this is going to be interesting. As it'll be Scott Bellum, Lindsey Hobbs. These are going to be the lap cars, and this is where things get fun. This is where the sharp eyes come into play, because you're going to need to be able to know who those leaders are. So just keep your eyes on that orange and black 07 car. Howard Weaver in the all-black Alex Bergeron VLR machine. They're going to start working their way through traffic. And, well, Ben, you've seen this a lot. Lap traffic can affect any race, especially late models.
You can live and die in lap traffic, and many, many wins are stolen away with slower cars in front of you. You got to think methodically and smartly, but not all the... Oh, no, is Bergeron going to get into a lap car here? He still holds on second, and Leonardi trying to pounce. But as I was saying, you want to be patient, but not too patient, to where that you waste too much time and you get past and you get kind of caught sleeping. As you see the 11 and the 25 making contact, Cam Walsh, that was close for the sake of Bergeron.
And impressive car control from Bergeron to gather that thing back up. That thing probably could have just continued to the inside wall if he wasn't too careful. But Bergeron now is 0.749 of a second away from the rear of the Mid-South driver of Howard Weaver. So the running right now has allowed this incident to allow Zach Leonardi to catch right on up, as Lindsey Hobbs, the Australian, takes a nice hefty little nip out of the rear of the number 24 machine. But it doesn't look to me, Ben, like Howard Weaver has been able to pull away at all.
Well, Howard Weaver has deserted the bottom of the racetrack. He's way up high, and Bergeron is really closing in now, and he's bringing Leonardi with him.
Yeah, and now it's the front 3 runners, because it's Weaver, Bergeron, Leonardi, and then you got Semmelman and Thompson. As it looks to me like this backpack is still fighting strong. Connor Young-Nier, this is your 6th, 7th, 8th, and beyond. As it's Kilinowski as well. Kilinowski, Newhalfen, the drivers of Dan Smulders and Richard Stallings also involved in this pack. This pack battling is looking pretty good as far as the fight is concerned, because these guys are not leaning on each other, at least not yet, as we have got 23 to go.
Yeah, we're working the back half of the lap count. Looks like another lap car coming into the picture, Jonathan Coombs in the 69, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a factor or not, Cam, as he's running primarily up on the top shelf, as Weaver has went back to the bottom. Perhaps he's going to experiment with the high middle group, and looks like we're under caution again.
So that leaves me with a question as to whom. I see Josh Phillips is in pit lane. Perhaps that had something to do with it. Nope. Yes, it was. It was Josh Phillips, I believe. It might be the reason for the yellow. Looks to me like it's Connor Parise. No, it's the 16 of Connor Parise. Connor Parise, who had that incident early on. Oh, he caught the inside, and then he got nicked by the number 19 machines. So that inside berm, that's your problem right there. And Josh Phillips also on pit lane as a retirement, so unfortunately for him. But what this does allow is cars to catch themselves up and to work out lap cars and all that, Ben. So they get themselves behind the pacing truck. It's going to be Howard Weaver, and, well, we were getting some pretty good lap traffic there, and they were getting ready to really take on the next bite. And Ben, I think almost some of the guys are going to be kicking themselves a little bit because they know how fast these guys are with an empty track in front of them. But either way, they're going to get themselves sorted out behind the pace truck.
Yeah, and the top five, an extremely fast top five. You got Howard Weaver in the 07, 25 Alex Bergeron, 24 Zach Leonardi, the 26 of Austin Zimmelman, and then the 313 of Greg Thompson. It's your top five right now with less than 20 to go. And, you know, Cam Walsh, this could be the final restart, so this could be an extremely important part of this race when this green flag drops for all parties involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, these guys are a bit not really lining themselves up too well, but they've got themselves sorted out here. 1 to go. Before we get back to green flag racing, it'll be 17 laps to go out of this 60-lap feature event you've been watching here on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV, of course. Here and the American Dirt Series, Dirt Co. Media House, CMF. And we are going to get ready to go green one more time. A little bit of a stutter step from Howard Weaver that throws the field into disarray. We are green here at Knoxville.
A great restart for Leonardi in the 24 as he and Bergeron are going door to door for the runner-up spot as Weaver's created a little bit of space, but Leonardi really digging on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, Leonardi trying to get comfortable. He wants to see where he can find some more of that grip. You just can't fight that inside line. We've seen that actually pretty much take out a car. One car's around. There is DJ Kilinowski. He's managed to spin. I don't even think he touched the outside wall. Oh, yes, he did. But he managed to pirouette into the middle of the field without touching anybody.
Very scary situation. Looked like everyone had their heads up and were driving smart, managed to miss him, and that's always scary. And he was running towards the front, looks like maybe about 7th or 8th place or so at that moment in time. A lot of cars were heading in his direction.
Yeah, and Nahi is going to cycle back to 18th with only really, it'll be about 13 to go. So very unfortunate for DJ Kilinowski. He had some help getting around, by the way. I believe it was Richard Stallings who helped him circulate the racing track, but in a different definition. As get ready to get green one more time. I'm sure Weaver's all right with this. It's a couple more laps where he doesn't have to worry about the relent from the cars behind him like Bergeron. As it's going to be another yet battle, and we saw what Weaver did as far as restarting the last time. Perhaps he will have given his playbook away and doing such a stutter with a couple laps to go.
Well, we did see Howard Weaver earlier in the heat races sort of, I wouldn't say play games, but was being a little bit on the methodical side and really thinking about how the restarts would work in the heat races, and we'll see if this carries over to this restart. One thing I did want to point out, Cam, was Connor Younginer. Really good restart. Has worked his way up to 5th. I want to think he restarted about 7th or so, made some bonsai moves in some tight places, and is now cracking in the top 5.
The lights are out on the pacing truck. What that means, we're going to go back to green in just a few moments' time. Excuse me there. So, Howard Weaver, he's going to be starting. He will probably give a Mississippi count, as playing games is something he, in fact, loves to do, as Howard Weaver takes the green. Zach Leonardi covering second. Alex Bergeron starts third.
And Zach Leonardi is strong second at this point in time in the 24. We'll see if we can get an excellent run in the 3, but Howard Weaver, he has led every single lap so far in this feature.
And for Howard Weaver, he's trying to cover over Zach Leonardi. Leonardi's looking strong. All he's got to do is give a little bit of nip to the rear of that 07 Camry, and surely he would be able to at the very least pull alongside, but he might not need to force him because he's got the speed right now. Bergeron is there as well. You've got a 1-2-3 split. And then you've got Austin Silverman on an island, and then you got another race, and Greg Thompson's running almost 3 wide with Connor Young near, and Cole Newhalfen, he's got overspeed. He wants to run the outside of Young near, and we've got a yellow.
Just as there was about to be a pass for the lead to Cam Walsh.
Now, we'll see what brought this one out as we're looking around the racing track. Here it comes. Replay up on your screen. There you go. I believe that's Connor Parise, the Atlantic driver. That's exactly what happened. Boy, the yellow flag triggers real quick here when you get that car shaped around. I feel like they could have gotten themselves sorted out. Continued. See, nipped the rear. The number 7 machine. So unfortunate there, and he didn't even really. It's unfortunate they threw the yellow for that, but I can see why.
Well, and it was just pointing out, Cam, just before that yellow came out, it looked like Leonardi was starting to develop a really good run underneath the 07 of Howard Weaver. He was just operating right on the seam of the bottom berm, you know, not getting too high, not drifting off of the bottom of the racetrack, and almost slipped underneath them. But, boy, Weaver is surviving still.
He should only have 1 restart to go, and it is going to be 7 to go. I believe, well, it should be 6 to go when we take the green. The lights are still on the pace track. We got 8 to go, so then we're going to circulate this lap. 7 to go, which means we're going to have 6 to go. When we do take the green, driver comes across the start-finish line. Lights get shut off on the unambiguous pacing truck that doesn't bear any resemblance to any vehicle ever at all, because we can't, of course, say it. But either way, it will be Howard Weaver, Zach Leonardi. It will be Alex Bergeron, Austin Silverman, Dan Smollers, Greg Thompson, Connor Young near, Cole Newhalfen, Renard Stallings, Cron, Wisely, and then Hines. So we will see. How will Weaver play this? Will he play the games he normally plays? I would strongly suggest yes. As, yeah, he gets a nice nip in the rear from Alex Bergeron. Bergeron jumps him good. He gets him started with green here at Knoxville.
Weaver continues to lead. Here comes Leonardi down low. Leonardi showing underneath the left side door of the 07 Howard Weaver, but Weaver holds on somehow. But Zach Leonardi not giving up on that inside line.
And I believe Weaver's going to get a better exit, and he does. But for Leonardi, he knows that inside line should be open as everybody's now involved. Greg Thompson's entering the picture. Austin Selman is still hanging around as Thompson moves to the inside. When will Bergeron take his move? We'll have to find out. We've got 5 to go.
Yeah, Greg Thompson was in the top 5 for some of this race, fell out. He's back in it as Alex Bergeron looking for second. Zach Leonardi in the white and blue 24, trying to get those dice in his hand and make a last toss on the table.
And so Howard Weaver, he's trying to stay in control. He's only got 4 to go as Bergeron is finding himself. And if you're Bergeron, when do you try to push the pressure? He can start leaning on the cars in front of him, surely. But when do you actually want to start doing that? I mean, I don't think he's got enough time to really start to push, but here comes Leonardi.
Yeah, Leonardi not giving up on that bottom. As you can see, he's right on that berm, that front nose piece, almost skidding across and kicking up some dust.
So we have got 2 to go here in the American Dirt Series feature main here at Knoxville Raceway. We had a couple of hours of good racing. Leonardi is going to take the high side. He wants to get involved, but all that does is allow Alex Bergeron to pull alongside. White flag comes into the air. This is for all the marbles. Howard Weaver's got good control. He should be able to stay up front unless he checks something. As here comes Leonardi. He will pull along to the inside line. And unfortunately, 1 lap too short. It's going to go to Howard Weaver. Weaver will end up coming home in the lead position as the fireworks start heading off here at Knoxville.
And he makes it 2 wins in a row. And my, oh my, that was shaping up to be an excellent race. It was an excellent race, Cam Walsh. And that was definitely worth the price of admission.
And Ben Death Rage, I have to say, that was a pretty good one. I have to throw, I mean, I wish we could have focused more on the mid-pack. I mean, there was good racing going on in the mid-pack, but it was just, you couldn't keep your eyes, you couldn't take your eyes off of that lead front as Howard Weaver is doing his donuts there. We'll see if he can find his way to victory lane. I think he can actually make it here on this one, but either way, we will perhaps start getting our race winner in as soon as he gets done partying in the machine. Let's bring him up here, what the heck. So, oh no, we gotta talk about race results. I forgot. Yeah, people might want to hear them, as it's Howard Weaver, the Mid-South driver, the 07. He'll come home in the first position. Zach Leonardi will come home in the second position after finishing at 0.135 of a second off of the rear of Howard Weaver's machine. Alex Bergeron, your Canadian, he'll come home in third. Greg Thompson, Austin Silverman, Dan Smolders comes home in sixth. Connor Youngnear, Cole Newhofen will come home in eighth. Terry Renner, ninth, and Mike Cron will finish in the 10th position. John Hain will finish 11th. Richard Stallings, Malachi Matthews, Hunter Poston, Brandon Pedersen, DJ Gilanowski, Colin Wisely, Scott Bellum, Jonathan Combs, and then Lindsey Hobbs will finish your 20th. And then you got, so it was 20 machines. So that was round number 3 of the American Dirt Series, the late model runs here at Knoxville Raceway. And we have now got Howard Weaver, your race winner, joining us in the booth. Howard, you went out for a leisurely drive, and apparently you won a race.
I didn't really hear you said I won the race. Yeah, that was a good race.
Well, see, there you go. So I sarcastically said you just went out for a normal drive and nothing happened, but It was good racing. I mean, Leonardi was putting on a lot of pressure. Bergeron was not really able to catch up to you. Take me through your run here at Knoxville. How did it feel out there? I mean, obviously you're hooked up. You came home with a victory, but just give me a run through.
Yeah, it was real slick, and at times I don't think I was probably the fastest, but we were all almost dead even. The track's so slick that you can't go too fast no matter what, so everybody's going to be closer, and just being able to hold them off was pretty tough because there's some of the best drivers on here.
And especially with it being this loose is not something you would normally expect in perhaps regular iRacing official running. But you were able to come away with it. You're able to deal yourself through with the dust and the dirt and get yourselves a victory. The couple of restarts, we did have lap traffic at one point. I would like to ask you about that. How did, we don't normally see lap traffic. Were you expecting it and were you ready for it?
I never expect anything. I just come in and plan on getting wrecked usually. So if I don't, it's a surprise. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have any thoughts about lap traffic. Usually you get a few more cautions, so I was just hoping they would kind of go up high there. And I was going to say thank you to that guy that moved high, but then it looked like he kind of killed Alex right after that. So then I really wanted to say thank you to him.
See?
That's how it works.
However we expect.
No, I'm just kidding.
But, all right. Well, you took the victory, and as such, as tradition, the floor is going to be yours. And congratulations on your victory here in the A-Main and the American Dirt Series here on iRacing Live RaceSpotTV. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, I gotta thank Cam Walsh. I gotta thank Randy Chenouth. I didn't get to earlier, or I didn't think about it. So hopefully he's not watching to get mad at me. And then I gotta thank Farmer City Raceway. I didn't thank them. Tennessee Punch Bunch, Team Friday, VLR. And just like last week, Zach for running me clean again, and also Alex. He kind of looked like he might have jumped in the curb to stay off of me a couple times. So it's cool that you can race around people that'll lift sometimes, you know.
Well, absolutely, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow is dirt night, I guess. Yeah, probably. I'll try to.
All right. you had to clear the busy schedule.
I didn't know.
Thanks, Howard. Yeah, either way, thanks, Howard, for hopping in the booth with us. We appreciate it very much. Congratulations on your race victory. So we'll see you tomorrow or next week or whenever.
Yeah, I'll try to be there tomorrow. I appreciate it. And also thank Scott Moore. I forgot to do that.
Well, there you go. All right, second position, Zach Leonardi. Zach, you managed to be in the fight all race long. You weren't able really to get anything over on the Howard Weaver, but take me through your night.
Well, I just figured I'd solidify myself as the king of second place. So obviously
you've
it's
done
serious,
that.
but I know 3 for 3 right now, man. I gotta start aiming for second. I might win one. I don't know. I started searching around a little too soon and gave Howard that bottom after we'd run side by side for like 5 laps or so, and he was hanging out there pretty good. So I was thinking if I get up there, it might be better, but I wasn't quite as good up there as he was. So it took until the track got all the way across till I was back probably the fastest car, and just made that mistake giving it the bottom early, and then there wasn't a whole lot of passing. I mean, if we could have got side by side, I think it'd have been a good race. I just think the track wasn't wide enough to get out there. So I don't know. It was a good race. Really enjoying this slick. I just gotta figure out how to stop finishing second. I went up there that last lap wide open around the fence, hoping either I'd fly around Howard or Bergeron to fly around me, and I wouldn't finish second. But it is what it is.
Cursed to finish in the second finishing position, which means you get a pretty good points haul, however. So our overall points, leader right now. So good points day. I believe that's what the stock car guys normally say when they're not happy. Good points day. But either way, we'll give you the floor, and congratulations on your second place victory. I guess ?
Yeah, you say that I won second place. It makes me feel a little better right there. Well, I saw one time Bobby Pierce. I think it was. Now he shared some. It was someone racing Word Outlaws. No, it was Kenny Wallace. Supposed to be 114th tonight. So that's what I'm gonna start saying.
I'm not surprised it's Kenny.
No, you can't be surprised when it's Kenny.
I love that guy. But either way, the floor is going to be yours, and congratulations on your second place victory.
Well, I don't really have anyone to thank. I already plugged my little rap deal, so.
Do it again.
Oh, well, you want a paint scheme done on iRacing, shoot me an email, zachleo24@gmail, or send me a PM, and I'll work with you. Other than that, I don't know. I think I'm going to change my paint scheme and put something on my spoiler about second place for next week. I don't know.
Put a RaceSpotTV sticker on it. They make you go. I don't actually. You know what, Hugo? Have we figured out? Can we put if we put our logo on cars and dirt tracks, will they go faster? I know that's how that works in endurance racing. Yes. Okay. Hugo
y'all can
says
sponsor
2
my
tenths.
real car. I'll do it there too.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Oh man.
But so either way, so there's your secret. By the way, Zach, thanks so much for hopping in the booth, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
So that's Zach Leonardi. We've now got the Alex Bergeron. Alex, you found yourself kind of starting in near the back, and you kind of pushed your way up to third, and that's really kind of as far as you were able to get.
Yeah, I mean, there was not a lot of place to pass. On the top, there's nothing basically. So I was happy to run behind Weaver there. So I just didn't try to do any moves and anything. It was a good race. The bottom was a lot quicker, and I'm happy with third place tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys you did come up on some lap traffic. Unfortunately, the caution kind of came out before we were really able to explore the lap traffic, but just kind of take me through just how the track felt, how you felt with the track, and how you felt your day went.
The first couple of runs, the first couple of laps, there was no caution there, so that was a lot of fun. I think I was second or third all around, and then I be in second place behind our there. I caught a lap car, and we tackle each other. There's this incident, but and then I catch back Weaver, and then there's kind of some caution there near the end, and we tried to do a move on Zach at the end on the final lap, but it didn't work. So finished third, but still a good result. These guys are very good, so I'm happy.
We gonna see you tomorrow?
Definitely.
All right. Well, there you go. Hey, I forgot. I wasn't there on Tuesday. How did you end up actually doing in the stock cars?
I finished 12th. We started 26th and finished 12th, and there was not a lot of caution. I think two caution, I think. So it was definitely a good run, and we have a lot of confidence for the next race coming up at Phoenix. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, there you go. So Pro Series driver in the Cup cars, and I'm sure hopefully looking to continue in the Dirt Series as well. But either way, one of the big things you can do to make sure you got a good look on your resume is getting good finishes in the American Dirt Series. He's done just that. Alex Bergeron finishing third. Floor is yours. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or thank before we let you go?
Yeah, Team VLR. The guys back at the shop for a good, not a good car, but it's fixed setup. So, but thanks to VLR and on their collective, Drill Spill, Car Racing, Mer Inc. You guys for broadcasting, and all the guys or the guys watching me right now. Thank you. And, congrats to Weaver for the win. We'll see you next week or tomorrow night.
Alex Bergeron, thanks so very much for having in the booth with us. So, that was your first place finisher, Howard Weaver, your second place finisher, Zach Leonardi, and your third place finisher, Alex Bergeron. And with that, looks to me like we're pretty much getting ready to start breaking things down. And Ben, well, it's been interesting, I have to say. This has been your first showing here on the commentary, and I hope you had as good of a time as I did, because I think that we did a pretty good job here today in the American Dirt Series. Really kind of showed off a good running here. Next race will be at Lanier on February 29th, and just well, how'd you feel everything went?
I thought it was a good show. I mean, everything ran pretty smoothly. Everybody raced each other clean. The racing was exciting, and that's really all you ask for the most part whenever you go to a race in person or a race online.
Indeed, very well spoken. So with that, Hugo, I think it's time we start queuing up the music. Oh, okay, we're gonna outro with the guitar too. We gotta give these guys more than just one song, I tell you. But either way, thank you very much for making RaceSpotTV part of your Thursday night. Here in the American Dirt Series, it's been myself, Cameron Walsh, Ben Deathrage, Hugo Louis, Andrus Warner, of course, with the overlay design, the overlay animation with Simon Grossman, live timing with Nick Thyssen, and, well, the sponsors, of course, for the American Dirt Series. It's Dirtco Media House, Kings of Dirt, CMF Motors Electronic Ways, Southern Indiana Lawn Care, Down Under Graphics, the Shiloh Forestry Company, and then B Dirt 1934. If somebody can explain that last line, I would appreciate that. By the way, this has been live reaction from round number 3 of the American Dirt Series, the late models, here at Knoxville. We'd like to thank you all for making us part of your night, and we wish you all the best. We will see you all next time, and you all have a good one.
Crazy controlled. They're missing each other by an inch, sliding each other. I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's poetry in motion.
There's a fine line between great focus and obsession, and you got to make sure that you're still in the right side of that line where it doesn't start inhibiting your performance when you get here.
You have to know where the edge is, and a lot of times we go over it.